Now here's a tip for you. When you put screws in, you never want to put the first one in and tighten it down. Even on something like this, I always have them just loose. That way, if this has to slide over a little bit, it can, because I haven't tightened it down yet. Okay, and even for something like that, I put all the screws in loose, and then I'll go back and tighten them all up. Okay. And I noticed even on these screws, generally Phillips screwdriver is going to be tight enough. Okay, but on most screws for ceiling fans, depending where you're going to see the screws, there's usually a slot on the top of the screw. In fact, I'll show you on the one that I'm not putting in, and yes, I did come up with an extra. Do you see the place for the Phillips screw driver is right there, but it also has a top. See this slot right there coming all the way across? That's so you can put a standard screwdriver in there. First off, if you don't have a Phillips screwdriver with you, but secondly, and what I like to do is get all the screws tight first, and I just do that with my Phillips. And sometimes the threads or the area where you put your slot for the Phillips screwdriver might not be really super deep, so you might not be able to grab on there and get a nice good bite at the end. Well, then you can take a standard screwdriver and just check and see if you can't get it just a slight snug better. These, like I say, are pretty good. Okay, but I find lots of times when I'm putting the fan blades on, especially the ones where you put the blades on after you mount your whole extension piece and your motor up on the ceiling, and then I get down there and install the ceiling fan blades last. On those particular ones, I like to get my standard screwdriver and get a little bite, and I can go maybe a 1/16 of a turn to make it just a hair tighter, because if those screws aren't as tight as I can get them, that's where, if anything, those screws are going to get loose the first thing, and then the blades are going to get loose. And if you have a loose blade, and if you don't know how to check everything, like all the things I already told you about, oh yeah, I know how to fix that. You just take those little weights and you put them on top of the blades, and you glue them up there, you tape them on there. Yeah, VideoJoe, he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's how you fix a wobble. Well, that is maybe how you fix a wobble after you go through all the different things that I've already told you, right? Then maybe you do something like that. But if you start putting in things on your blades and checking it and guessing and then thinking you're done, well, your fan blade is still going to be loose, and maybe you have 2 or 3 of them that need to be tight. Maybe it's not the fan blade itself to the support bracket. Maybe it's the support bracket going to the motor, because this particular one only had the 3 screws for the blade going in on the motor. Well, most ceiling fans that I've installed, I'll install it first up to the ceiling and down, and the fan, there's a fan bracket. First I put the blade onto the bracket, then I hold the whole bracket up to the motor and attach it with 2 more screws there. So I've got 5 screws on each blade getting up to the motor instead of just 3. You see what I mean? And so those screws get loose too. If some of those are loose, I don't care how many little things you want to glue, weights you want to glue on top of there. You may think you've got it fixed. Well, maybe you only have it fixed for ever a short while until your screws are looser. They're never going to be tighter. You tighten up the screws now, your fan's going to wobble because you got those weights on there that you didn't need to have. You see what I mean? Okay, enough of that. Let's get on to the next step. What is the next step, Video Joe?
Well, I can cross that one off my list. That's all I got for this time. But I'll be back with more videos.